Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's session. I'm Anthony Stanowski. I'm the president and CEO of CAHME. Welcome to the first of our three-part series on our new C-suite reports, This is really exciting for us to present to all of you. And just as a reminder, the session is being recorded and will be available on the CAHME website next week. Please remain muted and utilize the chat feature to ask questions as we go through. We have a lot of material to go through. I think some of the questions that you might have will be addressed during parts of it. And then if we don't, we'll talk about those at the end. Again, I'm really excited to introduce the new C-suite of reports. And today we're going to focus on two of the more exciting ones, if you would, C faculty and C comp, C faculty and C comp. And these two reports are going to enable you to be able to develop faculty composition and faculty compensation strategies. We've come a long way with the annual report process. And, those of you who have kind of been doing this for a while might remember the days where in the annual report you had to type in the word ZERO instead of the number zero. As we were developing some of the tools on the fly, but we've really come an incredibly long way since that time. Now, why do we do annual reports and why do we collect this information? Well, one of them, the annual report process, is critical to CAHME as an accreditor. It's our way to make sure that the programs that we accredited are still meeting our standards of accreditation. And we also report not the faculty compensation information or the faculty composition information in this level of detail, but we report information on the annual report process out through the public through our advanced search tool. And all of you I know are familiar with the advanced search tool. When you get to the third session in our reporting process, our C-suite report, you'll learn how we're using that information and how you will use that information to create a higher level of analysis for your program as well, too. So it's been a significant investment in this with us. Hopefully you get a lot of value from what we're producing in here. The C-suite of reports is presented to you today. Just again, the C faculty and C compensation, two incredibly powerful reports. For faculty staffing, these reports will provide you with the detail on characteristics and compensation of faculty that has never, and let me repeat the word, never been available anywhere else, with the ability to create dynamic peer groups that you define on the fly. Never before available type of data. Now, we did these reports because there was demand from the market for it. And we realized that demand, as we kind of built these reports, came true. 69% of all programs now have access to data from 2,800 faculty. 69% of all CAHME programs have access to detailed composition data from 2,800 faculty. 50% of all programs, 50% have access to compensation data that has never been available from 1,080 faculty. Probably the most robust faculty compensation data ever available. These programs, of course, are a significant advantage to others in the market who don't have access to composition and compensation strategies, which I think will again show the value of being CAHME accredited to the programs that are in process or are CAHME accredited, and will help you create process improvement areas, strategies, market development tools that will help your program become more successful in an increasingly competitive market. Well, with that, let me just stop at this point and turn the rest of the session over for how to access this information to Stacy Rowan, our Associate Vice President of Information Systems. Stacy works very, very closely with our innovation engineer, Aaron Anderson, to bring all of this functionality to life. And with that, Stacy, let me introduce you and go forward.
All right, thanks, Anthony. Welcome, everyone. So I'm going to talk to you today about the new CAHME C-Suite. So CAHME's goal with the C-Suite of reports is to help our programs create a mission-focused, data-driven strategic plan. These reports that we're going to provide for you, of course, are just one piece of that puzzle of your program's strategic plan, but we believe that the data provides insights that your program will find valuable in the process. The C-Suite is composed of 5 unique reports. As you know, this is a 3-part webinar series, and in this webinar, we're going to be focusing on the first 2, C Faculty and C Comp. C Faculty is a new report that we have, and it's going to look at detailed faculty characteristics for a user-defined peer group. C Comp is a report that we've had out for a little while. It's previously known as the Compensation by Status Report. It looks at total faculty compensation based on filters such as faculty status and contract length and some additional filters. In the coming 2 sessions, we'll cover the remaining 3 reports, which I'll explain in a little bit more detail on the next slide. So by the end of the series, you will see how to put all of these reports together to support your program's strategic planning process. Each one of these series will focus on a section of this wheel, but we're going to be working from the end of the wheel to the beginning of the wheel, so that by the last webinar, I can show you how to put all this information together for your analysis and planning. As mentioned, today's focus is going to be on faculty analysis. Our next session, the webinar 2, we'll be looking at a report we've had for a few years now called C Benchmarks. It's previously known as CARB. C Benchmarks allows you to benchmark your program's annual report data against a user-defined peer group. And we'll also be looking at C Trends, which is a brand new report that shows a 3-year trend on the annual report data, also based on a user-defined peer group. And then the final session will introduce another new report, one we're very excited about, called C Peers. And this is going to show you the top 10 compared peer programs to your program based on the public users of CAHME's advanced search tool. This data will help you identify your peer groups by showing what programs students are comparing your program to. We will show how this data will then be the catalyst to running the C-Suite reports, and lastly, what you can do with all of this data to aid with program strategic planning. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this visual to show you how your program's annual report data is used to generate these reports. We have a broad audience on this webinar, so some of you may already be familiar with this, but I'm going to review for anyone who may not be as familiar. So we have CAHME's annual report editor, also known as CARE, which is where programs enter their annual report data on a yearly basis. Located within this tool is the CAHME annual faculty editor, also known as CAFE. CAFE is where individual faculty profiles are created that give details such as things like faculty status, gender, race, contract length, experience for each one of the faculty that teach in your program. The data that you enter within CARE and CAFE is what is used to generate reports within CAHME C-Suite. And your data entry into both CARE and CAFE is what opens the doors to your access to the 2 reports that we're going to talk about today. So both of the reports today have one thing in common: faculty profiles. In order to be able to access C Faculty, the details of the each individual faculty member must be completed. To access the C Comp report, the details and the compensation and benefits information must be completed for each faculty member. By providing us with the detailed faculty characteristics for your program, you enable CAHME to use this information for program betterment. However, there is a little bit more to it than just completing faculty profiles in order to obtain access to these specialized faculty reports. Depending on the state within the CAHME life cycle that your program is in, there are also general annual report requirements that need to be met. The permissions to access these 2 reports are a combination of completing the annual report expectations and providing the detailed faculty characteristics within the faculty profiles. So for example, if you are a CAHME candidate program, you must have completed 1 year of annual report data for all sections within CARE, as well as have completed the detailed faculty information in the profiles to have access to C Faculty. If you also provided compensation information for all of the profiles, you receive access to C Comp. I'd like to give a little bit more detail specifically on the CCOMP report. As of now, current participation is for US-based programs only. All of the salaries have been normalized based off of a cost of living index to allow for a more accurate comparison. CAHME does meet the requirements of the Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Justice regarding compensation reporting and antitrust. CAHME maintains confidentiality by using a sufficient sample size and ensuring that no specific programs or faculty members are identifiable in the compensation reports. I really want to stress that nothing is identifiable. In order to access both of these reports, you have to begin by accepting an agreement of terms of the use of the data that CAHME has come up with. CAHME is committed to ensuring that these reports are used solely for programmatic improvement within your university. The data contained within these reports should not be shared with individuals outside your university or institution or used for any purpose without explicit permission from CAHME. Any unauthorized use, including publishing findings in research or journals, is strictly prohibited and may result in legal repercussions. Any intentional violation of this agreement will lead to loss of access to the reports, and the CAHME board will be notified. We have these measures in place to protect you, safeguard CAHME, and preserve the ability to continue providing this valuable information to you. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the reports. The C-suite reports are all housed within the CARE portal. Once your program submits an eligibility statement, then Michelle Petrucelli, our CAHME's Manager of Accreditation Operations, will provide you with CARE access. The CARE portal can be found in our login hub on our website, www.cahme.org, up in the top right corner there. Once you are logged into the CARE portal, you'll see this page with your program's logo rather than the CAHME accredited logo. And you're going to see this C-suite reports drop down at the top of the page. When you select that drop down, then you're going to see a list of reports. The reports that your program has access to are going to be in that light blue color. Anything that your program does not have access to will be grayed out. The first report that we're going to look at today is the CCOMP report. So once selecting the drop down, you would then select the CCOMP report. And you will need to, once you select that, you will need to accept that agreement to terms before you get to this page here. So from here, then you have the ability to, of a few different filters that we have in order to narrow down the scope of this report for you. So we have faculty status, a variety of contract lengths, and then we have the public or private or unfiltered school status. An additional filter we're going to have coming in 2025 will be the ability to look at compensation based on credit hours taught. So once you've made the selection of your filters for status, contract length, and scope, you can then select from two different academic year options, 2023-24 or 2024-25. The data within the current academic year is still preliminary and has not been verified by CAHME. So we do suggest that you run your reports on the verified data set of 2023-24. So once you've selected those filters, you're then going to hit the process button and you will be taken to a page which shows you the percentile breakdown and the mean compensation numbers for the filtered faculty that you have selected. Now, remember, these numbers are all normalized using a cost of living index to make them comparable to your program. These numbers are also based on total compensation, which includes the base salary, incentives, and overload. And also, please note that for this slide, the data shown here is demo data and is not representative of actual figures. Okay, so now we're going to talk about our C faculty report. So C faculty report will be accessed in the same way that the CCOMP report was accessed in the C-suite reports dropdown after logging into CARE. On the left of this slide, you'll see the filtering selection for this report, and this is going to look familiar, I'm sure, to some of you, as it's a filter selection that you're going to see within a few of the C-suite reports, including C benchmarks. Whenever we say a user-defined peer group, this is where you are making that selection for that user-defined peer group. So the filter selections include degree, mode of delivery, curriculum, regions, cohort models, accreditation status, track, and public-private school status. Once you've selected your filter criteria and hit the submit button, the report on the right will generate. At the top of the report in that dark gray, you're going to see what filter selections you made for this report. And below that is a bunch of charts around the filtered program characteristics. So this is characteristics of that filter, that user-defined peer group that you selected on the filter page. And what's neat about this is you're going to be able to see, for example, out of the programs that you selected and narrowed down to, how many of those programs may be online programs versus hybrid programs if you should have chosen both of those filters on the filter page. Under the filtered program characteristics then are the set of 5 reports that we have for the C faculty report. The first is the faculty status by number of students in program. In looking at this report, each of the rows will sum to 100%. So this chart shows you the breakdown of types of faculty for programs of various sizes. In this example, you'll see that programs with 301 plus students are comprised of 62% adjunct faculty. The next 4 charts look a little different than that chart, where you'll see that each row is a different type of faculty member. In these rows, the numbers will still add to 100%. The first of these charts is discipline by faculty status. When we say discipline, we mean a faculty member's academic and or practical experience. For example, you can look at the professors for your user-defined peer group and see what types of expertise the professors in this peer group tend to have. So this table can provide you with insights on what your faculty's expertise composition looks like compared to your peers. The next 2 charts look at years of experience, one being academic, the other non-academic, based on the type of faculty. And then the last chart looks at benefits and tenure by faculty status. So those are our CAHME and C faculty reports located within our C-suite. Please make sure you register for the next 2 sessions. Email reminders will follow, but you can also access registration information on our website by going to www.cahme.org/events, and you'll find the information within the events for those 2 webinars. If you should have any questions regarding the CAHME annual report or the CAFE editor or the C-suite reports, Michelle Petruccelli is the primary contact and I am the secondary contact. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions that you may have. And now we are going to open it up for some Q&A.
So if you have any questions, you want to put them in the chat room, please put them in. I've gotten 2 so far, Stacy. So let me ask you the first one.
All right.
The compensation data looks fabulous. Can we take that information and publish it in some articles or journals?
So the answer to that would be you would need to get permission from CAHME in order to do that. So that goes back to that agreement that you're going to be having to accept as part of your viewing of these. So if we ask that you do not do that, but if you have a purpose to do so, that you do get permission from us in order to do so.
And I would say that permission needs to be written and probably I would say signed by me. So this information is really for programs who are providing the data as a way to help those programs understand how to perform in their market. If the information was going out there to everyone, then there would be less of a need to report it, which would lower the quality of the data. So right now, if you provide the data, you get access, and it don't go and it is not allowed to be released elsewhere. Second question, Stacy. Let me kind of look at this carefully here. They want to participate in the C compensation data. However, the program director does not have access to the compensation information of the faculty that are in their program. So they want to participate, but they don't have access. Can we provide access to a third party person within their university that they can never see, and that the program director can't see? And how does that, what happens around with that?
Sure.
How do we
So
accommodate that?
Yep, I can answer that question. So, new as of this past year was an additional user that can be added to the care login, and it is for someone who may be have those permissions, specifically like a salaried, someone who's going to be able to enter that salary information for you. So what will happen is Michelle can set that person up with a login, and they're going to be able to go in. They won't be able to edit any of your other annual report information. They'll just be able to enter the compensation information for your faculty profiles. And then once they do that and they complete that, they are the only ones that will be able to see that compensation data. The program director will not be able to see the compensation information that's been entered by that additional user. So we have that extra safeguard in place in case any program directors do not have the ability to get that information.
Thanks, Stacy. Another question came in that said, can you give us some more specific use cases for this information that existing programs could build on? So why would programs, if I'm kind of reading this correctly, what would programs do with this data? And Stacy, I'll let you take a crack at it, and then I'll add some comments too after.
Sure. So this kind of goes back to, let me pull up that strategic planning slide. So this is one small piece of this bigger puzzle that we're going to be kind of showing you, or this bigger wheel that we're going to be showing you. And so this is specific regarding the faculty. So this is a good way for you to analyze your program's faculty and be able to see how you compare to peers within the CAHME world. So any user-defined peer group that you decide to choose that you feel like matches your program. So you're going to be able to see what type of areas that discipline that your faculty composition may make up versus your peer groups. How many what your years of academic and non-academic experience looks like for your faculty versus your peer groups. And then as well as what does the benefits and tenure information look like for your program versus your peer groups, perhaps as a recruiting ability to see, you know, when you're recruiting faculty, are you setting up your faculty a little bit different than other programs that are within your peer group? And then obviously the compensation information is something that you're going to be able to add to that as well. You know, just to see how does your program compare to other faculty in a similar situation as your faculty.
Stacy, thanks. And from my perspective, when we've kind of looked at developing these reports, a long, long time ago in another lifetime, I worked for a company called Solution, which had operational benchmarking information, where each specific department in a hospital could compare its performance to similar hospitals in that area. It was very useful for the program and for the CFO to understand how are resources allocated. How do you allocate the resources? And are you allocating the resources differently than what your peers are doing? And you kind of need to determine whether that allocation is important or necessary. Is your program so different that it really doesn't, it kind of falls outside that? That's up to you. But what we really feel that this can help you with is to either make the case that you need some additional resources in areas, or that you need to hire faculty with some specific skills that you currently don't have available to you. And then secondly, I think the compensation data, to me, when we were looking at it from a hospital perspective, understanding what the financial resources are of a specific department in a hospital was important. To me, what you should use the compensation data is to make the case that either you need to add additional faculty on, or different adjunct faculty on, or different full professors on, or tenured professors, and what are the approximate salaries that could be paid, and the compensation that could be paid. And by salaries, we mean both compensation and we also mean benefits too. So I think it could help you understand how you're performing relative to the marketplace, and to make the case to your dean or provo that you need to add additional resources on. So hopefully that answers the question. Compensation is typically set at a higher level than the program. That's correct. Yes. Agreed. And I think when you look at it and what you get from this data is again making the point about whether your program can be competitive with other programs based off the compensation numbers that are set at the higher level. And I do know institutions that sometimes make a case for hiring certain faculty with certain skill levels that maybe are above what the institution typically would pay as well too. But good question, good point. Thank you for asking that. Um, Michael asked, does the data include such things as overload pay?
Yes, so the compensation that you're seeing on the CComp report is total compensation. So it includes a base salary, and then if any overload was entered, and any other additional compensations that were provided.
Okay. All right. Well, we kept to the half an hour here. Someone asked a question about whether you can get a preview of the C Peers report, and we're going to say no, you can't. I think I think the last session in this will be a report that I think will really show you the power of the data that we've gathered in here and will help you create peer groups that are far more effective than we've ever had in the past. Thank you all for your time today. I know 30 minutes out of your day is a chunk with everything that you've got to do and appreciate you being part of it.